Hi, this is Kathy Quinn with Floriani. Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing, and I wanted to thank you for coming to the construction portion of our project of the month. Now this I've called monogram pillowcase, and I probably should have called it embellished pillowcases, because really we are actually taking a monogram letter and adding a lot of embellishment to it. This is a great gift. You know, if you've got those kids away at college and little girls, little boys, they love pillowcases with their names on them, with monograms, with embellishments. And in the Floriani software, you have hundreds of embellishments that you can use to manipulate and add to your lettering. Now, the tools we're going to be using here today is the Designs Snap Hoop. If you have not seen this new hoop, it's their third generation of hoops that allow you not to actually have to push an inner hoop into your outer hoop to hoop. This one I am so in love with. The top that snaps down, you have a metal frame, you've got a top that snaps down, and there are built-in magnets. It has a very nice hold. It's wonderful for doing continuous designs, things that you need to slide around, or if you're just trying to get really good placement. It's wonderful. Like I was doing some sheets in it and I was just thrilled because I could, with that top hoop in place, I can still kind of pull on the sheet and adjust it to make sure I have a perfect hooping. It also has these wonderful ruler bars that are peel and stick that come with the hoop, so you can go ahead and put those on the hoop and you can see that 0, 0 is the center and it moves out. So it really helps you making sure everything is lined up. Now if you choose not to purchase a snap hoop, don't own one, of course for today's exercise, get out your handy Floriani Perfect Stick, because you can still stick your pillowcase down without having to put an inner hoop and an outer hoop on it. Now you'll notice in the center I have one of the Designs embroidery toolkit rulers. Now Designs is selling an embroidery toolkit, and I have owned this for quite some time. It is a fabulous tool to help us when we're lining up perfect centering, so that we can, in this case, we are going to add designs to a center design and actually move and rehoop our fabric, and it's going to make it very easy, make it precise. The nice thing I like about these rulers is they are soft and flexible. You notice that the center is cut out. That is because they have these little round target stickers with an up arrow and a crosshair on it, so when you get that placed just perfect on your fabric, you can stick your target sticker in there and you've got perfect alignment. Now in my case, I'm using it with the template tearaway, which again gives me perfect alignment, and of course my handy sew line marking pen. These have quickly become my favorite. We are going to, of course, print out our templates on our template tearaway, so let's get started. The first thing, as I always tell you, is I would like you to starch and press your pillowcase. I find that if you starch and press, you always get a much better look on your embroidery. So always starch and press. Now I have taken my sew line marking pen, and we are dealing with a 4-inch cuff on this pillowcase because that's what we're embroidering on today. So I am going to mark 2 inches down from the top because that cuff is 4 inches wide, and I'm also going to measure over from the sewn edge. Pillowcases generally are 20-inch wide, so of course I'm measuring over 10 inches to put my vertical line as well as my horizontal lines. Now with everything marked, I want you to print out your templates. Now I've print out the center template because I always start embroidering in the center and go out. You just get a better result if you do that. It's just like quilting. We quilt from center out. Now in my hoop, I was able to get 3 repeats of my embellishment design. So I needed to print out 2 templates because it's the same template on the right or left side of the D. It's exactly identical. So we only actually need to print out the template for the center and then 1 side template. Now if your hoop was smaller, and you needed to further break down your embellishment, of course you may have more pages of template. But for me, I needed 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to press on, because I am using my snap hoop. I'm going to use my Floriani's Stitch and Wash Fusible, because this is a monogram with a lot of satin stitching and single stitching in this design, and I want to be able to get it off the back without distorting my stitches. Now notice when I pressed it on the wrong side of my pillowcase, I left about a 3-inch extension sticking up taller than the cuff. The reason is when I'm using my snap hoop, I don't want to have to pull that pillowcase all the way up to the top of the hoop. I want to be able to center this band in my hoop, making it easier to get perfect alignment. So I am using the fused on stabilizer as my extended fabric, because the snap hoop is going to hold it very well on the sides. Now I'm showing you a picture of the snap hoop here. Notice it's got the built-in magnets. These will not affect your machine. Now I've gone ahead in the right-hand picture. You notice I have placed my pillowcase on top of my metal frame, centering it, and I'm using that 0, 0 marking on those rulers on the side of the hoop to make sure it's pretty close to the center. Now we're going to use a template, so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but you do want it straight across. You want your horizontal to be straight across. You don't want it crooked. So using those the markings on your top hoop is going to help you immensely. Once I've got it in there, and notice that just sticks to the back hoop, I am now going to cut around my template out of my template tearaway, peel off the backing, and I will now line up the X and Y lines on my template tearaway with the markings on my pillowcase. I'm going to now take it to my machine. Your machines are absolutely wonderful. I'm going to move and adjust my needle on my machine until I can actually center it right down into the center. And if you do have one of the machines with the Novi, it works great with template tearaway, because you can, of course, with the camera see exactly where you are, or you can actually stick your snowman on top of that if you had to rotate it some. Now I'm going to put on water-soluble topping and stitch out my design, making sure that your design is facing the right direction. You want your D facing, the top of your D facing the body of your pillowcase. This is real important. So now I've got it all stitched out, and we're going to move to the next. Now what I've done is I've removed it from my machine. I can kind of pull that pillowcase underneath that top hoop, or I can just take it off, slide that pillowcase over, drop that top hoop back down. Again, I'm checking that that line that I have drawn is at the same marking on the right and left side of my hoop. Now I have put in my designs ruler, my flexi ruler. I've put it in to make sure that I've got it centered vertically and horizontally with the center of my template. Now what's wonderful about using this template tearaway here is when I put this template down, I've got that design, of course, printed out on it. Do you notice in the right-hand picture how beautifully I can scoot that over until exactly where I want it, next to that D? I have perfect placement with this. So now I've stuck that down. I've managed to make sure everything is straight. Now I'm again going to center the center of my cross markings on my template with my needle, so it just rotates down into there. Always remember to remove your template tearaway, because it will not tear away once you've stitched through it. The wonderful thing about this tool is it will stick over and over again. So the fact I need to use this template again on the left-hand side of my pillowcase is not a problem. It's still going to be plenty sticky, and because of that tack, it doesn't allow it to shift like paper and vellum templates tend to do, and then you find your placements off an eighth, a quarter of an inch because it slid a little bit. This will hold in place and it will not leave a residue from the tack. Now I have stitched out my right side, and now we are going to do the left side. Again, repeating the process. I have lined up my template, used my flexi ruler to make sure everything's straight, and if you'll notice, you can see not only am I straight, I've got my horizontal and vertical lines, but on our template tearaway, you also get your diagonals. Sometimes this is crucial to lining up beautifully if you're doing a quilt block or a square area or something where you can use those diagonal lines. They are also very, very helpful. Now again, I've put it on the machine. Here I'm going to make sure my needle centers here, and I am going to top it also with water-soluble topping and stitch it out. Now notice we have stitched out beautifully, and I want you to look at the perfect placement that you have gotten from using some simple, easy embroidery tools. Now think how easy it is now to go ahead and do any continuous design, whether you have a continuous hoop or not. Using these extra tools will ensure that you have perfect placement, and that's usually our biggest fear is it placed perfectly? Now we have gone into the software, we have taken an embellishment and edited it. So now think of all the endless possibilities you have in your wonderful Floriani software. I want to thank you so much for coming to this month's Project of the Month, and I hope you enjoyed your perfect placement. You can purchase your snap hoop as well as your embroidery placement kit or embroidery tool kit by Designs Magazines from your dealer. They do carry them, and I want to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed.